going live. Pre-show going live. It's the pre-show going live. Pre-show going live. It's the pre-show going live. Excellent connection. Excellent. Why is this excellent connection, but I don't see anything? What is happening? Hold on 1 second. What is going on here?
Sure.
YouTube.com/GadgetCast. Sure what's going on. Black screen. I don't want to panic. Oh, no, I see us. I see us. It was a lie. It was all a lie. YouTube lied to me. There we go. Whew. Mild panic attack. As we do the pre-show craziness that we usually do. What's up, peoples? We are doing the pre-show. Hello. Battery powered in house. Genosis doing it big. Tech for your needs. It's all the tech for your needs. It's everything that you have ever needed with technology. Let me make sure my profile is showing this off properly. Yes, it is. Because why not? Because why not? All right, there he is. We won't say anything. Hey, for the pre-show, because we do the pre-show, why don't we go ahead and, because we're going to have to do this introduction twice, but let's do it for the pre-show right now. Let's give it up for the man, the myth, the legend. There he is. All right, this is the pre-show, Michael. We're not recording yet. We're just doing the pre-show.
Well, I understand. Hey, that's good that we're in the pre-show because I needed to ask you how necessary headphones are because I can go get them if I need them.
You sound okay. I don't hear any problem. Yeah.
Well, I can't change the mic, so how I sound is how I sound. But are you guys getting that?
No echoes or anything? Huh?
I'm not hearing anything on my end, so.
Well, hot damn then.
What are you using?
I'm using a MacBook Pro. What do you think I'm using?
Hey now.
I don't have my sound, but all my fancy shit is down the road. So I'm.
Oh, because you're in. Because it's in your the studio.
Yeah, I'm locked at home. Man, let me just rotate this. Let's see how this works. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it sort of works.
It's a skinny thing once we get through. Let me see. There's another way to do this. Like this. Or like, no, I'm too big.
Ooh, that's fun.
We don't want great. That's actually probably the move.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
That's the move we're going to do.
So are you using the microphone on the MacBook Pro?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good test of it, right?
I did a few podcasts right before the review went up, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, so best laptop mic ever. Oh, okay. What a surprise.
Yeah. It is. It is.
I'm glad because I the studio mic is like not something that's portable at all. So
yeah, no kidding.
Best
attached to a desk.
It's good to see y'all's faces.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to talk to you about all the things, especially the world we live in. Of course, things like foldables and all the other shenanigans.
Yeah.
Same. Hey, are those smart glasses I read about?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they're so smart I can't get them to stop playing NPR in my ears right now. So I'm a little distracted. Is that okay? Yeah. These are the Echo frames.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we can talk about that too.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm a little scared about Here's my reminder. Add Michael Josh as a Nintendo Switch friend. Okay, done. Can do.
Actually, getting a Nintendo Switch at this point is actually very difficult. I don't know if you know this. Are you aware of this?
I have heard that. Nintendo Switch prices are up by something like 200%.
So prices.
Here's my reminder. Add Michael Josh as Nintendo. Thank you. I got it already. I will, for God's sake.
I promise I will.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that because we were talking about wearables a couple of episodes ago. I think it'd be kind of fun to.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready for this, Greg? Ready to start this recording?
I think so. So I don't need to multi-track it, right?
No, we don't need to because we're doing this. So Michael, we'll do a little intro thing we do, and then I'll introduce you in, and then it's just fun after that.
That sounds like a plan. I will adjust this a little bit just in case anybody comes up the stairs who doesn't want to be on a podcast.
And your dead robot's in the back. Oh,
hey, he's very much alive, and you watch your tongue, sir.
He's looking at me. That's scary. What?
Good job, Fibo. You're not dead, are you?
A little brain dead, but not exactly.
He's lobotomized, but that's different from
exactly. All right, you ready, Greg?
I'm ready.
Okay, all mutes until 3, 2, 1, record.
Hello, world, and welcome to another exciting special edition of the GadgetCast. I am your host, as always, Gregory McFadden, joined by my trusty co-host, Travis MCP.
You better believe it.
Ooh.
I have not left since our last episode,
Did
which
I
was
skip
only a couple days ago. We haven't
Was
even
that-
given them a chance to breathe yet. What's up with that?
Was last episode the one where I like quit and like walked off the show?
Yes. What a great ending. So the people who are listening on audio, you have to go back to the YouTube channel and watch that. It was actually funny. You know, of all the times that Greg has tried to be funny on this show, it was the first time where he actually was funny, and I got to give him props for that. I loved it.
It was definitely better than the John Prosser imitation.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible. Let's not do that again. Let's not do that. Okay, listen, let's not wait around. Let's not shenanigans, because most people don't care about us anymore. They've heard us enough. So let's go ahead and bring in one of my favorite creators ever, and a guy who was just so incredibly cool to me. Yeah, I definitely canceled Greg. Thank you, Tish. At the end of the day, one of the coolest guys I've ever met, Michael Fisher. Thank you so much for joining us here on the GadgetCast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm brain fried and exhausted and weirded out like the rest of us, but I'm happy to be here. Thanks for giving me something to do today.
We definitely appreciate you. John Prosser's in the chat. We were just talking about you, Johnny. So we want to kind of get into just some things, because obviously we live in a really weird place right now, and I'm so curious how it has affected your shooting schedule, your life, your mental well-being, like all of those things. I want to kind of unwrap those things before we get into the tech things, because we're all dealing with it differently. I would love to understand like how this has hit you, how it's affected your everyday, and how it's affected your productivity of videos.
You know what's crazy is we have a job. I think, most of us in this field have a job where we are lucky because we can continue working from home, right? So in theory, nothing should change. Really, I mean, like the shooting locations are, it's tough to shoot at home. It's tough to not have a sound booth. That I'm doing this podcast with a laptop microphone. I would rather not be, but I'm missing my cool toys, but I can still do my job. And stuff still comes in the door at a regular clip. I have like 5 new things to review. I'm just as behind as I ever am. So that's, that nothing about that is different. But the mental question, the mental corner of that question is where everything trips up, because man, I get to the end of a workday where I would normally be like, 80% utilized, and I feel like I'm 120% utilized just in terms of my mental resources. And everyone in Slack on the future mobile team, of which I'm a part, is all going through the same thing. Everyone's like, I should be able to do my job, and I can do it, but I can't do it as well as I want to. And I think that's a problem almost everyone who has to work from home at this point is having to deal with, because we've never experienced anything like this, in our lives. And that's crazy to think about. And you have to think about it
in a very real way. But also, while things like this have happened to humans in the past, we have never been so connected. Technology connects us in many ways, and it keeps us connected with people who, if this was like the Spanish flu, however long ago that was, you really couldn't get in touch with anybody. Now you can in an instant. So it keeps us connected yet distant. How has that been for you, like mentally? Because I know you have a lot of friends that you like to deal with, that you even moved to New York, kind of work with, right? So how is that?
What a horrible time to move to New York.
Man, I was just thinking that the other day. I'm like, man, given the choice, I would have waited a year or something like that. But it's interesting. I am luckier than most. I live with my girlfriend, and I live with my very good friend David Amell from Android Authority, whose stuff you've seen and read as well. And we have enough space to spread out where we're not getting on each other's nerves yet. We like each other. We have a lot of TV to watch. You said it. The internet gives us so many more options than we would have had before. And in our case, we have a roof deck we can go onto if we really get sick of each other, and that gives us, I feel bad every time I complain at all, because we shouldn't be complaining. But of course, this is not what I thought I would, the way I thought I would be living in October when I moved to New York. Yes. No, this is crazy. I miss my friends. I miss everyone. I miss traveling. I miss airplanes. I miss hotels. God, I miss hotels. But, that's just the way of it. That's what we have to do right now to survive.
Well, Greg lives in Jersey.
Yes.
How far in Jersey?
I'm right in Hudson County, so I'm right by New York City.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so you're in the war zone as well.
Yeah, we're in the second worst, so just following right behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, number
Pretty
two
fair.
from I saw today. Well, good job. Go for number one. Strive for
Yeah,
number
well, Jersey's always second fiddle to New York. So we're used to it.
so, apparently. Michael, let's talk a little bit about some of the products you have gotten you're excited about. I mean, we want to keep it positive. We've talked about this kind of craziness for a while, and everyone's kind of tired of it. So we want to keep it kind of fun and light. Of all the things you've gotten in recently, last couple of weeks, what's like the coolest thing that you're kind of enjoying using? It doesn't have to be a phone. It could be literally anything.
Yeah, what's nice is, so I've got like a pile of phones. I can't talk about two of them, and two of them you know how you get to overload on something. So like we'll talk about phones in a second, but these that I'm wearing are some of the coolest things that I've handled in a while. They look like regular glasses and they feel like regular glasses because they weigh almost nothing. But these are the Echo frames from Amazon. And yeah. So I'm sitting here, we were doing the pre-show, everybody, and I'm trying to talk to freaking Travis and Greg, and it's like Amazon's just reminding me, Alexa's just reminding me that I've got a friend, Michael Josh, on Nintendo Switch, and do a bunch of other stuff. He's got 4 speakers. They hang out right over your ears and speak right into you. They've got 2 beamforming mics and just a tiny little LED here, and gives you 24/7 access to, well, not really, gives you about 12 hours a day of access to Alexa before the battery dies. Sorry, I don't need to keep saying the key phrase. I'm sorry to anyone out there who also has.
Or Allegra makes it easier.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And I like seeing where wearables are going, because it's this category that still somehow, after years and years, is continuing to evolve. Pretty much every year there's something new and weird. We had Project Jacquard from Google with the woven fibers in your sleeve. We had Motive and its Ring fitness tracker. We had Focals by North with the heads-up display. And we've got these and the Bose frames, which are across the room. It's cool to see technology like worming its way into smaller and smaller components that make up our lives, and doing it in a way that's actually convenient. It's an awful lot of fun. So these are cool. I'm going to review these soon. Shout out to Jeremy Johnson for letting me borrow these, by the way. I have to say that every time I mention it, because I forgot they existed. He was like, "You want to borrow these?" I'm
I
like,
did
yeah,
too. And I worked at that company for 7 years. I knew about them 3 years ago, and I completely forgot about them.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I forgot that you worked there. Second of all, it's weird to forget about something like this, though, because seriously, they're toy-like in a good way, because you don't think there could be any technology in here at all, but they're packed with it, and it works pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for I was interested in those too, and I'm like, ooh, let me send in my request so I can order them, but unfortunately I have not been chosen.
Yeah,
early access.
Hard to get them. Yeah, it's hard to get an invite, from what I understand.
I know.
It's kind of randomly, weirdly chosen. Now, let me ask you about the technology. So they've actually been working on those glasses for many years, and they were delayed multiple times and stuff until they got it what sounds like right, based on what you're saying, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do want to get them. But there's another technology they've been working on that I saw firsthand, and I hadn't said anything about it for the last year and a half because it hadn't leaked. But now that it's leaked, I can talk about it, I guess, because I didn't want to get sued. But what do you think? So first of all, I used to work on the Amazon Go team, which is the store you go and there's no cashier, the cashierless technology.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Now, so that's cool technology. The technology is, for those of you who don't know, you literally walk into, it's like a little convenience store. You take your phone out, there's an app, you scan it, you walk in, and there is no register, there's no like people, there's a couple associates restocking. You grab anything you want off the shelf and you just walk out. And it charges you, they have them in New York and stuff, they have them all over the place. It charges you on your card, because it can track where you are in the store. Now, it's a great technology. I'll tell you, after I had been a part of it for a couple of years, and I got so used to it, I almost did that in a real store, which, by the way, is called shoplifting everywhere else. Don't do that. But you literally can go in and put things in your backpack in the Amazon Go store. Now, there's another version of this. That sounds cool, right? Like it's this kind of easy, frictionless thing. What do you think about biometrics scanning you in? In other words, either eye or handprint.
Like
having that information, in other words.
What, like scanning you in for access to a restricted area, to a store, scanning you, like buying stuff.
In other words, to Amazon store, that same store, you put your hand on the scanner and that scans you in. How does that make you feel?
How are they identifying you right now?
Right now by app. So you're signed into your Amazon app. It's a different app actually, and it does a QR code, and they just scan the QR code. And
so you scan a QR code. Yeah.
But now, what if you could just put your hand on? Would you be comfortable with that?
Well, like that immediately puts me in, okay, well then 2 years after you do handprints, then you do facial recognition or eye scanning, and then we live in Minority Report, which we kind of halfway already do. So personally, I'm okay with that, but that's because I am much less, I have an almost what you might call a lamentable lack of concern for privacy in some of those circumstances. A lot of people don't like being sold to. A lot of people think it's creepy when ads are not relevant or when ads are too relevant to them. And I think it's great because if you might as well advertise something that I'm interested in, and I'll make the decision whether to buy it or not. So I mean, to me, on the surface, that sounds fine to me. But I know there are a lot of considerations in terms of privacy considerations that are very legitimate that I'm not thinking of. So I want to say I would be against it out of principle, but I sure would think it was cool while I was against it. You know what I mean?
I don't know if you've seen Greg's stuff, but Greg does a lot of Apple stuff. I know he's probably got some questions about what you think about some of the stuff he's been reviewing lately. So Greg, I don't want to take all of Michael's time.
Oh, I mean, your questions have been really good, and now I feel put on the spot, to be honest with you. But
better than you at this, Greg. We know this. This is not. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
So obviously, like you mentioned, you're recording this on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is interesting because touted feature is those microphones, and I've seen you've been enjoying that, like the 16-inch, a lot. You gave it a pretty favorable review and stuff. But have you had a chance to check out any of the new stuff, like the MacBook Air or the latest iPad Pro?
Yeah, so not the new MacBook Air, just because it seemed to be an iterative enough improvement that I think I decided to skip it out of hand. But I am using the iPad Pro 16 feels like a 16, the 12.9 inch, the new iPad Pro as a sidecar companion for this broadcast, and I love that. I think it's probably more accurate to say, even though I do love the iPad, that I love sidecar. And the iPad is nice when I'm not using Sidecar to be able to turn my monitor into an iPad, because it's just such an incredible feature. It works so well. And I thought it was yet another one of these things where you had to be a member of Apple's ecosystem to really experience all those benefits. But then instantly everyone on Twitter was like, no, Duet Display, use it on a Windows machine. It works really well. And I'm like, this is just great. It was the coolest idea to me a couple years ago, when I first reviewed an external monitor that was powered by USB that you could take with you in your bag, and it was thin enough and light enough. Asus made it. And to have something like that looks better than it, is more portable, and also turns into the best tablet you can buy is just incredible. I think the iPad is probably my favorite thing that Apple makes. Although the 16 is giving it a run for its money, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. When I talk about iPads and stuff, it is one of the most versatile pieces of equipment, and the enhancements they've been doing it to make it refined over and over again, and little things like Sidecar. I love using that when I'm using something like a Photoshop or Affinity Photo. Then you get the brush selection tool. You can use it with the Apple Pencil. Kind of transforms the experience in a very positive way.
Totally. You do it in Final Cut. You can throw all of your raw stuff over there, and then you've got a lot more room for the timeline and stuff. People have always been preaching the gospel of the multiple screen life, and I'm always on the road, so I'm like, no, one screen is fine. I've got a laptop. I sound like that apparently, and but now that I've tried it, now that Sidecar has proved its worth, I'm like, I don't know that I could go back to not using it. Also, I just put on the Swarm skin, so I'm really feeling it now. I think
there you go.
Sponsored by dbrand.
Now they gotta send us a check for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get our legal to look into that. No, but yeah, it's interesting, the direction of the iPad. So obviously, Mr. Mobile, all about mobile technology. What do you think of that new Magic Keyboard? Obviously, it's not out yet, but it's caused quite a reaction.
What a bummer that they had to release it late. I mean, that's what I want to review. I want to cover that at the same time. That's so much a part of the story of this thing, especially now that they've enabled trackpad and stuff. I feel like, thank you for reminding me. Actually, I felt like a slacker. I'm like, I've had this thing for long enough. I should really kick out a review. I should have had one out. And I probably will cover it in some capacity before that keyboard comes out. Because what are we talking? May on that?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
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 And I mean, we could have production delays as well, right? Or I hope it doesn't get air powered.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that's such a
That would be pretty embarrassing if they can't get out a keyboard with a trackpad.
absolutely. But yeah, I'm as eager to check it out as everyone else.
Have you tried out like hooking up like a Bluetooth trackpad to it and trying out the mouse support or in any way?
I haven't, just because again, I'm not. That's another one of those peripherals I never got into. You know, I don't know if you guys are this way, but you see the guys at trade shows or on the train or on the plane, or they've got the laptop set up, but it's on a stand. They've got a mechanical keyboard and a separate mouse. And I'm like, God, hats off to you. You did great work. Because I can't. I've always been a integrated trackpad guy. So have you used it? Does it work well with it? Or
yeah, I've used it. I have my Magic trackpad for my iMac here, and then I hooked that up to it. And I'm guessing it's a pretty one-to-one experience of what's going to be offered on the keyboard itself. And it works pretty well. I like the way there's still some stuff that they need to iron out. Hopefully they can get it done before the keyboard launches. But the way they tried to integrate it by making it, iPad's a touch first interface. It's not like they just slapped like a regular cursor on there and went go crazy. They did that with the accessibility stuff first. But like when you hover the cursor, this is awful for audio, but it'll like, on like how the Apple TV, it'll like highlight interface elements as you like scroll over stuff.
Yeah,
kind of similar to that. But when you get off of that element, it'll turn back into like a little cursor. And then as you highlight over stuff, like if you go over to the top right in Control Center, it'll highlight over that. If you bring it to the home bar on the bottom, it'll highlight over that. So it's interesting how they've done it. And then it's really useful for like text editing though, especially because that's when you really want the trackpad.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that makes sense to me. It is weird, I will say, in Sidecar to have the iPad over there behaving like a second monitor. Like I just moved my pointer over there and I can click on stuff and it's just a regular thing. But when I want to like go touch it, when I want to go scroll, right now I have Twitter on half the screen and I want to scroll it with my finger and it doesn't work because it's a monitor. Calendar. Oh, my glasses have just told me I have to be on this podcast. So I got it now. But there are some inconsistencies that I think could largely be solved by Apple just giving us a freaking touchscreen on a MacBook finally, because controversial opinion, but the touch bar sucks and it's the worst part of this machine. So I would really like a real touchscreen, but I'm happy that I don't have to, that I can take a break after 3 years of hating my keyboard and replacing my computer over and over again to just really enjoy Apple's desktop stuff again on the whole. And by desktop, I mean the laptop and the iPad as Sidecar thing.
That was a rough few years, and it's funny how like they just do like the minimum, and it's like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
for us, like working like Final Cut, it's a blessing because
God bless Final Cut. Oh, I can't say it enough. People are like, "Why are you're complaining about Windows? Are you complaining about the MacBook all the time? Why don't you just switch to Windows?" I'm like, I won't do it. I can't leave Final Cut. It's the best piece of software that I've ever had to use for work that I've ever seen.
And not to put you on the spot with predictions and stuff, but can you see a future where Apple will? I mean, we're kind of seeing like this convergence, in a way, of iPad and Mac. There's rumors that Apple's going to be putting their own chips into their Mac line. Obviously, they have Project Catalyst, which brings over iPad apps over to the Mac. So, do you see them maybe making like the one device, one operating system, or just even giving us like a touchscreen MacBook? Or do you think it's just going to be two separate platforms forever? I for one would just like to see like Final Cut on iPad, and I think that would be a game changer for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I had a flight where I cut. I was using Premiere's, what do they call their mobile editor? The
Rush.
Yeah, Rush. Where I cut that 5G in Providence video on a Galaxy Note 10 in Premiere Rush on a transatlantic flight, and it was so much fun. I was surprised at how much fun I had editing on mobile. The stylus of the Note made it a little bit better, but I was like, oh, wow, I really could do this. So I agree. Final Cut done right on the iPad would be incredible. Yeah. But at the same time, I do feel like there are just physical hard limitations to what you can do in one context versus another. The iPad is a great tool because I can lie down with it I can stand up with it. I can sit with it. I can use it in different contexts, and it's fine. But if I was going to hunker down on it for like a 7-hour edit, which happens like twice a week, it would need a keyboard dock, but then it would need to be a bigger screen, but then it's not as good a tablet, right? So I still feel like there's not a one device in our future, in our immediate future. Maybe someday when modularity finally becomes a thing and we can plug a screen into a base and it's whatever. But no, I wouldn't hold my breath on a single device anytime soon.
So John Prosser recently tweeted a little while ago about some other new Apple leaks. Number one, of course, they're saying now the iPhone 9 is coming for sure. He also tweeted that a new MacBook Pro is going to be coming, WWDC, along with the headphones. So what do you think about, I mean, I assume right off the bat, you're definitely getting like the new MacBook Pro, I would guess, right? Or is it too early, considering you just got one last year?
Dropped $6,000 on this thing.
I know.
Well, come on.
Well, listen, Greg buys $1,000 stand for a monitor he doesn't own. I mean,
True.
Nothing wrong with it. I bought Jibo. I understand. It's all right.
when you see pure art, you just got to acquire it.
Yeah.
Taste.
I don't know. I mean, I would get the Pro to review it, but I can't believe that's already on the horizon.
To offer context for Travis, I think he's probably referring to the 13-inch, which does need an update because it saws
yeah.
We're on the 16-inch. We're good. We're not upgrading.
Right. Yeah.
Younger.
That makes sense. Right. Yeah, that would be good. Though I know a lot of folks who use the Pro line in its smaller form, and they're all my writer friends. If they'll typically get a Pro. In the past, they've had to buy the smaller Pro versus the Air because they needed the photo editing chops. Andrew Martinek all the time with that, and because he edits his own photos and stuff, and it's great. But I think now the Air has so much power that I don't know. Do you guys use a 13-inch Pro? Do you know people who use a 13-inch Pro? I wonder what the target customer for that.
I review them, but generally I use the bigger size ones because the things I do is like video editing, so I want as much CPU and GPU power as possible. But yeah. Same way, I just know people who before this newer MacBook Air, which might solve a lot of those problems, it might be the computer to recommend. It was just either they had that low-powered MacBook, which didn't work for a lot of people, and then the latest generations of Airs before this one were a little too low-powered for some people. So yeah, I don't know going forward. The latest rumors are saying that it's gonna the 13-inch MacBook Pro is gonna get maybe a bit chunkier, go to 14.1 inches, which would make more sense for Pro users, right?
Yeah, but then again, I mean, if you're going to go that big, then why 14? I guess I'm looking at the 2-inch diagonal difference on my machine here, and it would be a lot more portable. The 16 is not a light or a small machine, so I get it. But I don't know. I've never wanted a smaller one for the kind of work we do, as you say, Greg. So, yeah. I don't know. It's good to offer this stuff at different sizes. Also, I think it's funny that there are people out there who don't, for whom the MacBook Air is not enough power. Because I remember grinding a MacBook Air into the ground when I was at Pocket Now, and I was doing a lot more videos per week than I do now. And that thing eventually did evaporate in a cloud of black smoke. I killed it, but it took me like 3 years to do it. That machine was a champ. It was a little slower to render, but it did the work, and we kicked out at least HD videos back then. So they're all wonderful machines.
Yeah.
Now that you can trust the keyboard.
I haven't had any experience with the quad core version. I'm still waiting for the i7 to get here. That's the most powerful. They haven't shipped those out yet. So hopefully I can see how powerful it can really get. But Rene Ritchie, obviously, he tested the quad core. From his perspective, it seemed to be pretty good. Obviously longer render times and stuff, but if he was able to do his entire video in it, that's going to work for most people.
Yeah, everyone was talking about the MacBook Pro 16 being like, oh, the render times are so much faster. I'm like, man, that is handy. But usually when I'm rendering, I modify render all, and then I go away from the computer for a while. So I've been at it for 8 hours. I'm like,
that's awesome. So I'm really curious about your kind of opinion on this, because we've talked about this on the previous podcast, and I think it's really important. I'm on the verge of releasing another video on this exact subject because I think it's important considering where we are today. So Samsung has already released their S20 lines of phones, so there is no real pressure for them to release another phone this year. They've already released one of their flagships. Now, obviously, they normally release the Note series, and every year they've been releasing a little bit earlier in the year. There's no chance of that happening in August like it was last year, or anything like that. I made a video recently where I talked about I don't even think it's a good idea for them to release it all, just because of the economic climate. Apple, on the other hand, is in a slightly different situation where they haven't released anything yet. And the financial, the economic kind of situation is still the same kind of battlefield where we don't know how long America, because obviously that's where Apple gets most of their sales from, will be in this kind of weird unknown place. Over 3 million people don't have a job right now, and an iPhone is not exactly high on their list, especially when we're talking about a potential iPhone 12 Pro that's going to be $1,000 something. Your opinion? Do they only release the less expensive phones this year, or everything or nothing?
In my view, the reason that I still do have a job, and the reason that we do still get to do this, in addition, it's not just because we can work from home. It's not just because of the miracle of the internet. It's because to a large portion of my audience, what I do is entertainment. Not everyone's watching my videos to decide whether to buy something. They've already bought the thing and they want to see what they can do with it, or they want to have their purchase validated, or they want to argue. You know what I mean? It's entertainment in the same way that sports is. It's just sports for tech nerds, which I love. I don't like it when it gets too tribal, but providing that in a circumstance like this, where something very serious is happening and it's terrible, is still important because people need an escape. Whenever I do mention the COVID-19 thing, it's there's a subset of commenters who are just like, why'd you have to remind me of that? I came here to get away from it. And that's important. And I think it's still important for companies to release products that they would have anyway, not just so I have a job, but so that a sense of normalcy is retained. And so that people who are sitting here, who still have jobs or still have income, and hopefully are giving some of that to charitable causes as well, and helping out their communities and stuff, can be like, well, you know what? I needed to buy a new phone anyway. I'm not the kind of guy who buys a Moto G, so I really hope that new Note 10 comes out. I don't see an ethical problem with releasing high-end products in a circumstance like this. I'm not a student of morality. I'm not an economics student. I just don't see the problem with it. I don't think it's a reason to throw shame at people for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, John says to Apple, even lower sales are better than zero sales. Shareholders are a big factor, which I get that. I totally get that. I'm just always curious as to what people think about it. For me, it's not more of a moral thing. It's like I think of it from a business standpoint. And there are like two different masters multiple masters you have to kind of serve. It's the shareholders, profit, and your customers. And they all kind of want slightly different things. Your customers don't care if you have profit. Your shareholders want you to keep pumping stuff out, and your profit wants to have profit. So it's always interesting. I love the way you said that, because it's more humanitarian. I just wonder, and Apple will come off as a humanitarian type company at times.
Well, sure, any opportunity they have, yeah.
Whether they are, different story. But I appreciate that. Thought.
To be fair to Apple, every company will, and rightly, sees the opportunity to be seen as a force for good. It's not just Apple. It's just that Apple is so good at being sanctimonious.
Oh, it's good times. So there's a couple questions I want to make sure I don't forget before the end. And usually this is one of my last questions. I'm just afraid I'm going to forget it when we eventually shut this off and however now. This is my new question for everyone who comes onto the show. Weirdest place you were ever recognized?
Weirdest. Oh man, there's a lot. Like all right. I was in, where the hell is that? Which state was I in? I was in West Virginia, I think. I was in the mountains of West Virginia, and I was on a family trip. And I was so far from most civilization that I couldn't get a cell phone service signal most of the time. And we were there for about 4 days, when you're with your family for about 4 days in confined, as many of us are now, and I had to get out. So I took a drive. I saw a moose. I saw various scenes, and then I saw this souvenir/gun shop or something. I just needed to stop somewhere and see another human, and I did. I walked in. I'm just kind of looking at the various things, deer crossing signs that I could buy in the wilderness. And the cashier comes up, and he's about like a 16-year-old young man, and he's just like, "Aren't you Michael Fisher from Pocket Now?" And I'm like,
"You guys have internet here?"
I'm like, "What are you even talking about? How do you what?" And we had a wonderful conversation. We talked for 15 minutes about phones and stuff, and about some of. I think he asked me if I knew Joshua Vergara, which was really cool.
That's funny.
It was a very cool and totally unexpected. You expect this stuff to happen at restaurants and wherever but this was just completely out of left field. So thank you for bringing that memory back to me. It's been a while since I've thought about that. So
I love those stories. Rettinger told us when he was on that it was a bathroom stall, which I don't want.
What?
I don't want that. I don't want that. There's so many things. There's so many rules that you are violating. In the bathroom. Can we just not have that happen?
Yeah. Do you guys know anything about rye whiskey?
No, I don't. Do you?
No.
Yeah. Michael Josh wants to know what's a good rye whiskey brand. I say Bullet. I'm an old fashioned guy. I like Bullet rye in my old fashions. Thanks to again Andrew Martinick. But I'll get back to him after the show. Just thought I'd ask.
No. We appreciate it. Anyone can leave us a message. Obviously, the links are in the description below and in the show notes. If you have a favorite rye whiskey, maybe we'll talk about it next episode. Why not?
Yeah, email the show your favorite whiskey.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Tell us what you're drinking right now.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm drinking some Dr. Crusher beer right now. No product placement, but who's this from? Bike Dog Brewing Company. I'm like, this is good stuff.
You got Woodford from Scott. I don't know. I guess that's one.
Guess so.
Weirdest place to get recognized, university bathroom. That's I think bathroom, there needs to be rules. So we thought, speaking of meeting each other, we met each other at CES. We had done a collab a year or so ago. Appreciate that, by the way. I know I've told you thank you many times before. I don't even think I had 10,000 subscribers at the time. I was shooting for the stars on this one and asked, and you were so amazingly, awesomely welcoming and helpful and helping do that video. I just watched part of it earlier. I was like, because it's been a while since I've seen it. And then we finally met because we've been following each other on Twitter for however long. Finally met in CES, and then you said something that 8 people before you had said, which is how tall I am.
Yeah, you have a lot of altitude. And as I said it, I knew I shouldn't have said it because every person has the ability to recognize in another person the look that comes upon their eyes. All right, yep, you're gonna say that. Yeah, I know.
The funny thing is, I didn't know. So what had happened was at Vid Summit that I went to, a couple people said it. I never put it together until CES when everybody was saying it, and I'm like, what am I shooting that my video's wrong? Like, what am I doing? I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, no, it's I feel like I'm a little there is that little touch of self-consciousness when I meet people too, right? Because when you shoot yourself, if you're your own cameraman, man, there's no one who looks better in videos than you, right?
True story. So right?
I meet people just fucking on. How you doing? Yes, I'm very kind of young. How are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, Greg is very self-conscious. Like he does videos, and I'm like, man, that was a really good video. Goes, I want to look at that. He can't stand to watch himself. Can you watch yourself?
Yeah, no, Greg, I totally hear where you're coming from on that. Yeah, no, but by the time I'm done with the edit process of any video, I'm like, well, this is the worst thing I've ever made. This is the one. This is the one that's going to get me, that they're going to see I'm a fraud. And I publish.
Oh, every time, it's like, I don't want to release this one. This is the bad one, and it's like watching, hearing your voice over and over. It's
God, get to the 45-second mark of any of my videos. I'm like, are you bored yet? I'm asleep. I'm just. Why does anyone watch this?
Yeah, I have the awful thing of letting my friends knowing that I do this. I've gone to like parties and stuff, and they're like, oh, let's watch Greg's latest video, and they like turn it on. I leave the room, like I have to. I can't. I'm just like full of like embarrassment, and I just like hear myself. I'm like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, you always have to
I should get a new one.
How to swallow that too. I've done a couple classroom talks, right, where they play my "This is Mr. Miller" intro video, and I'm just like, because if you don't shut up, you're just the worst. You're 8 times more annoying than you think the video is. Because you're like, well, I wouldn't have done that way. This is old. This needs to be recut. Yeah, I don't. Well, can we turn that off?
It's so cringe. It's so cringe. Oh, it's terrible.
When
you were still working at the mobile kind of place, you had done because you were like selling phones at one point, right?
Oh, when I was still selling phones, yeah.
So, how long were you doing YouTube while you still had a job?
No, I didn't. Yeah, no, like tech YouTube, right? Because I had an earlier YouTube channel, but for tech YouTube, I didn't start doing it until I was full time. I was full time at Pocket Now in 2012 2011, 2012 when we really they were leaning hard into it, and that was the smartest thing I had ever seen, because that was the time in 2012 you could do a video on a Galaxy Note 2, and it could be a handheld thing with a camcorder that's half out of focus, using the on-camera mic, and no one ever sees your face, and that thing get 3 million views. You just needed access, and the audience was going to be there for you. It was much less competitive than it is now. But yeah, that was it. I mean, I didn't start doing tech YouTube until then.
Okay, I was going to say, did you work somewhere and then one of your coworkers find that you were on YouTube? Because that's cringe.
Oh, has that happened to you?
Oh yes, it did. Before I left my last job, yes. And I never told them about it. I don't know how any of these people found it.
Literally, I got out scot-free without anyone at my job ever finding out. It was the best.
What kind of, that is the best. I can. Well, the equivalent that happens to me now is people will dig up old stuff I did when I was an actor, and that stuff.
I've seen that on Twitter. It's quite good.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but thank you.
I enjoy it.
Well, it depends on which one you dig up. The other day, somebody found the worst example of acting ever, which was English as a foreign language video, where every time you try and play the scene genuinely, the director's like, no. Listen, it doesn't matter if you're believable. You just need to be understandable, and you need to slow it down a lot. So, boy, this scene was just the worst, and I'd never seen it. I'm like, please never share this. Thank you. I've ever seen.
That's the worst.
Travis, did your coworkers, how did they spring this on you? Before?
Okay, so it was the last year that I worked there. I grew kind of fast for my first year. I think my first year I ended up with like 20,000 subscribers. So somewhere in that last year, right before I left, some of my stuff started picking up. And if you search for certain types of headphones, like I'm number one and number 2, and still to this day. So one person find it, and I say, listen, don't tell anybody. And then another person on my team found it. And by the way, like, this doesn't make any sense because it's people in my team. It's not like just random people in the corporate and like, oh, I think I've seen you. No, it's people in my 10-person team, one at a time. Like, I think I saw you. And then this was the worst one. Well, it wasn't worse. It was hilarious. This very quiet, very soft-spoken Chinese lady turned around one day and she looks at me and she goes, I saw you on YouTube. And I go, whoa, what? It's just really sweet kind of, and you're different on there. I was like, she goes, I saw you dance. I'm like, oh Lord.
Oh no. See, you made the fatal mistake. You don't aim to be number 1, Travis. You got to be like number 4. People will never find you.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, I hope they didn't see one of the 3 videos where I'm in my shower.
Oh yeah. I was definitely, when I was doing those videos and when waterproof phones were still a novelty.
Yeah, because you're like, where else am I going to try it?
Nobody I know is going to.
Of course. The internet's forever, by the way.
Sure is.
Oh. Yeah, we smash that like button for these incredibly ridiculous stories because we definitely are not doing this just cause. Go anywhere. Thank you very much.
I'm just here for the fun.
For the lulls.
Yeah.
All right. So before you have some more questions, Greg? Because I don't want to keep.
Travis, you're gonna let him on here and not talk about his favorite subject.
Oh yes, we need to.
We need to talk. We got foldables, right?
Okay, good. I'm just tensing up over. I'm like, wait a minute. What's my favorite?
We got foldable smartphones, right?
Absolutely. Did I bring one? What's crazy is like, ugh.
Do you not have one now in isolation and quarantine?
No, I've got them all here. I just didn't bring them down to the table with me. But I mean, we know what they look like, right? So let me stop talking. Is there a specific question first, and then I will just talk? It's ridiculous.
Well, I know that's like your favorite topic now. You always, I've seen you on a couple other things mentioned, like, smartphones when they're these flat slabs are so boring now. I'm all excited about the future of foldable phones.
Yeah.
And just what's your favorite foldable phone out right now?
Damn. It's not easy. None of this is easy. It's between the Galaxy Fold and the Z Flip. And if I heard myself saying that 4 months ago, I think I would be very surprised, because I thought the Razr was going to be my everyday carry. And then when, a very interesting thing happened when Samsung refused to let anyone hold on to Galaxy Fold review units for more than the month. And we asked, and I think everyone I know asked to hold it for longer, and everyone I know got declined, including myself. And I think it was like New Year's Eve where I was like, this makes no sense. Really, I'm going to a party with Nirav Gandia tonight, and he can't be the only one there who owns a Galaxy Fold. I just can't let that happen. So how do I quickly, undo that? B, though, how do we know if these things are going to break? How do we know how long they'll really last? How do I know how long they'll last given various usage patterns over seasonal changes? I have to buy one. This makes no sense for me not to own one. So I bought it, and wouldn't you know it, you get used to it. You get used to this opportunity that you have to whip out from your pocket, not just a phone, but a thing that turns into a tablet. And then when you get used to that much space in Google Maps and Kindle and Gmail, for God's sake, that more space is great, then you just can't go back. And then when the Z Flip came out, I'm like, it turns into a regular size smartphone. So that's a little less compelling for me, because when it's open, it's just another smartphone, right? But then you fold it in half, and then you can put it in a pocket with other things and have a very satisfying, not a very satisfying hang. Everyone talks about the hang up, but you really kind of need to use two hands to close the thing. But it's this tiny little thing when you're not using it. And then you look down to maybe to go through Twitter stuff, but you have to open it. So you have that extra step to, do you really want to go on Twitter right now? You don't. You're just doing it because you have nothing else to do. There are so many, it changes everything about the experience of using a smartphone. And how can you not be excited about that? I mean, it's just terrific.
I got really excited for the Galaxy Fold original when it first came out. Me and Travis were talking back and forth. We're like, oh, we're definitely getting this phone, $2,000. Who cares? Like it's like the future and everything. But then the whole thing came out where the first unit started breaking. They had to delay it, and then that really just set like a damper on everything. It completely destroyed any excitement I had for this technology, because I figured, well, that like they're not going to be able to come out with something that's working in a state that I would personally use, that's going to be durable enough. Now, regrettably, I still haven't used the Fold, which is the one I really still want to use. I did have to pick up the Z Flip because, like you, I'm like, well, it's a new technology. I really need to test it. I can't give people opinions on something I've never used. I have no idea how is it really going to break? Is it really that fragile, or is it good enough? Thankfully, I have the Z Flip right here. Yeah. It's been fine. Like, I don't even think I have a single scratch on the display, even after all that controversy of people like poking their fingernails at it. Because it's folded up in your pocket all the time, it really isn't exposed that much to the outer elements until it's in your hand. And at that point, to be careful enough not to really expose it to anything else.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the thing for me is, I'm a little less in love, and I think maybe it's because I am mostly at home, working at home a lot. I do like when you fold it up and you can fit it in your pocket. It feels so much better. I always get the comment, people like, "Oh, it's just thicker in your pocket." And it's like, no, it's like nothing's there. Yeah. Which is nice, and I do like that. But at the end of the day, when you do unfold it, it is just a normal smartphone, and I really need to try the Fold, because I think that's the form factor that I would use. I don't know which one, or if any of them will ultimately catch on. But for me, I think fold out into a bigger display, I can be more productive. That's what I want. And then if they can improve the front display to be a little bit bigger, I think that's the winner. I don't know though. I have to use it.
Yeah, I actually have the Mate XS in the house too, the Huawei one, and that's that's incredible because you do have a larger outside display because the entire exterior is a display. And so it's just an intensely usable phone in both of its open and closed configurations. The problems with it are obvious. We have the Google problems. We have the fact that you can't buy it here, et cetera, and the fact that the fragile display is the exterior, so it's much easier to damage. But this is the most exciting part. Is like we're in 2004 again. Manufacturers are trying all of these new crazy form factors to see what works, what's actually useful versus what's just let's build it because we can build it. But several of them already create an experience where you're like, well, yeah, it's $2,000, but now I don't have to buy a tablet. Or maybe I wouldn't have bought a tablet before, but now I have a larger screen in certain circumstances that I would have liked that I never would have known before. I would have just been squinting at another boring rectangle. And that's crazy. And then you have people like LG, which this is the one I do have with me, is the V60, right, with the dual screen case. And look, the principal function of this thing has been to make me worried about the Surface Duo, because we've had phones that are two screens welded together before, and while this thing does some things interestingly, you've still got that big old gap between the screens. And you don't have that on a foldable screen, on a true foldable screen. So you're like, why do I need this stopgap if what it's trying to be already exists? So that's what I'm trying to figure out as I write this review.
So Jason from Painfully Honest Tech and I have talked about this a couple times, and his kind of response to that, I think it's a good one, is that you now have two screens. It's not one folding screen, it's two screens, so multitasking can be a little bit more efficient. Now I don't know because I don't have them.
But there when he and I are going to do a shouting match about this?
yes, of course.
You can have two workspaces on a single screen. You just need to tell some pixels to make you two screens. And what do you know? We've been able to do that since Android, 4? Like, dudes, this isn't a thing. A physical barrier between two screens is not something you need to simultaneously have two different workspaces.
Good point.
I adore the man, but he and I disagree on this. On
a lot of things.
That was fun. Also, he hates the first Razor. I don't get why he hates the 2004.
He can't stand it.
He's great. We adore him though. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, indeed. Yeah. Jeff was there as well. Talking about that's a cold.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. I had like somewhere else to go. I was like really late to my next thing because I just really wanted to stay up there and just chat with you guys the whole time.
It's so fun. Well, listen, we don't want to take all of your time. Greg is a mention.
I do want to take all of his time. But,
I mean, I do. I'm not gonna lie. I will. But we want to make sure that that Michael actually wants to come back sometime and not be like, okay, listen, we were on there for 2 hours.
One and done. You know, it's that's the way to do it.
On to the next.
I do have one more question for Michael before you leave.
Yeah.
You know? Hey, you know, what are you gonna do with the hair? Like, no barbers, right?
Dude, yeah.
Think about that.
The greatest regret of my recent history was not going to get it.
Same. I'm overdue. I'm slicking it back. I have no idea what to do. I wake up in the morning. I should take a picture. I'd be too embarrassed to release it. It's awful. And I made the mistake of not getting my hair cut.
And here's the thing. What is it when you normally have it cut? Like when you're freshly shorn, is it pretty tight on the side for you, or what is it?
I don't know. Yes. No, it's not as tight. It's not as tight.
No? Well,
I don't know this hair terminology. I just know my hair is long. I need to cut.
Short, long, yeah. These are technical terms.
You know, medium length.
Right. Well, see, on the side, when mine is like, when I'm walking out of the barbershop, like this is there's almost no hair here. And so when it grows in, I get these big old clumps that just pop up out of nowhere, and it grows in all funny. And I have to put in so much glue, and then I'm shooting myself. And you see yourself in the viewfinder, you're like, we can't use that shot. I gotta just take it back, and I'm gonna be slightly out of focus, and now it'll look better. I want to do all my reviews in 480p from now on, so I cover that.
Hey, go retro. You know, I mean, we got at least hopefully 30 more days of this stuff.
Yeah,
maybe more
minimum.
Yep. Maybe we should have a competition. We should see who has the ugliest hair at the end of this thing.
I would win that.
Yeah.
It's terrible. What happens to this head if I don't shave it? It's terrible.
I'd like to see that.
No, you wouldn't.
Come on.
Even when I listen, here's the thing. Even when I like I'm lazy a little bit, I always think about this when I'm shooting a video. I'm like, okay, do I need to shave my head or not? And I go and I'm like, okay, it's just at that point where I'm like, I'll get by. And then the comments are just trash. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Give it up, man. Listen, dude, I gave up years ago. I'm not hold on to nothing.
This was not intentional.
Yeah. It's being lazy.
Yeah.
Anyway. Slack. That was his glasses, by the way, if you heard that. Anyway, we want to thank Michael Fisher for coming on. By the way, so obviously Greg hasn't quite named his fans yet. Have you named your fans yet, Greg?
No.
Yeah. Okay, I haven't. Of course,
Name your fans? What's your fan's name?
Mine are the players. Everyone knows that. Yours might be the gadget heads or something silly like that. And Michael's are the MFers, which is what I've been trying to get on a shirt for a long time.
Nice. I like that. We do another run our shirts, and the lawyers say yes, we should do that.
Are you kidding me? The
Okay.
MFers is everything. In the chat, please let me know if that's a shirt you would buy. I already pre-ordered. Just want to let you know.
Please.
We want to thank Michael Fisher for joining us. Obviously, his links are in the description, as if you don't already know, and all the things. Listen, you know where he is.
Listen, we're doing this small guy a little favor by having him on our show.
Exactly. We want to pump him up, give him another 2 or 3 subscribers, maybe. We appreciate him coming on and sharing with us. Real quick, what kind of cool things are coming up on your social medias? Because I know you do a lot of stuff on your Instagram as well.
Yeah, I've been doing this thing where I burn time in the mornings having coffee and telling people about a product that may or may not make it to the YouTube channel. So it's been fun. Random stuff like the Moft stands that I'm using and the Aoki gallium nitride chargers, and I'm like, these, I think. So that's been fun. And it's just trying to crank out as many YouTube videos as possible while the economy still resembles something of its former self, and all of this is still tenable. So it's really just it's taking it day by day, and I hope that you guys and everyone out there continues to hold on day by day, and we'll see each other on the other side of this thing. You know what I mean?
We better. This is all I got.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. For the audio podcast, we're going to sign off. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, we got a couple of minutes of the post show. We always do. We stand around for a couple of minutes and say, all the things. But for the audio podcast, we want to thank Michael Fisher for joining us. Of course, he's Greg, as well as the other one's Michael, and I'm Travis. We'll see you next time. And we're recorded. Hoo-hoo! Another one down.
All right.
Lovely tunage, by the way. Can I ask you guys a time-sensitive question?
You can ask us everything.
Am I supposed to be recording anything?
Nope.
Good.
What?
We're screwed!
I like to think you thought like midway through the podcast, like, oh, am I supposed to be recording?
Well, 30 seconds after we started, I'm like, I better bring that up. Nope.
Nope. Too late. No, we have dual recordings and the whatever. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah,
We got it all fed through a master system.
Great. That is what I was going to hear. That reminds me of one of those error messages I was getting on the LG. Like there was a notification that showed up at one point where I had rebooted or something, and it was just like the vaguest. The system is initializing. I'm like, I'll leave you be for that. I want that on a T-shirt. What did you say? We have a master system.
We have a master system. Shout out to one of my favorite movies of all time, Tron. The MCP was the master control program in the movie.
See, you just acronymize anything, and it has the air of legitimacy without really any effort.
That's right. So I can go into Tron and say it's about me.
That's right.
Sure, how that makes sense.
MCP, as it were.
It made sense for the moment. Anyway, a lot shorter post show because I don't want to keep Michael waiting. He's a nice guy. He's not going to make a big deal about. He's gonna be like, listen, I can't wait till these MFers let me off. MFers for life.
MFers. Absolutely.
By the way, look, hashtag MFers. Jeff said he's definitely an MFer.
Thanks, Jeff.
The shirt would be bought already. T-shirt MFers. This needs to happen.
We're moving 4 units already. I think.
Pre-orders are through the roof.
Get 16 more folks on here. I think we almost got something.
You got almost a minimum order.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't want to house them in your house and then have to ship them out. You have to do Teespring or something like that. Did you see my post? I just got my shot glasses from 2 CESs ago sent to me. No.
Yeah.
What?
And we got all the shot glasses, and that was a wild party because people kept making me take tequila shots out of them, which was fun. But then the Michelle, who is one of the many people I work with, who's so wonderful, she was so adamant. She's like, listen, these have not been washed since CES like 2019. You need to wash these several times before you use them. I take no responsibility. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So I put in the dishwasher twice, melted off all the logos.
Yeah.
And all the lead that was probably in them as well.
Oh yeah. Now they're sanitary, but they're anyway.
Well, now they're just shot glasses.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Well, thanks the after party crew. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Don't worry about it. And Michael, of course.
I don't know. I think it's over, Travis.
There's a lot of podcasts for
on a good note, you know.
Sad orange days. Wait, I actually have that.
Gotta remember to get my green screen next time I come onto this thing. I feel like this could be fun.
Wait, where the hell is that? Oh, there it is. There it was. I had to find it. I couldn't find it. There it was.
Wow.
I never use it. Oh, here's one. Here's one for you, Michael. I know you'll recognize this. Let me turn it up.
If you want to talk to me directly, hit my Twitter.
There's a guy I haven't seen in way too long.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's around. We have Viper sound effects everywhere.
I mean, where was he? Is
He's
he
here? He's around somewhere. He's usually in our chat. I'll tell him that you said hi for sure.
Tell him I said hi. I missed that guy. I saw him in Renee's launch video the other day, and I was like, I missed that.
Yeah. We love Viper. He's a good dude for sure. And hopefully we'll see him in the next CES if there is a CES ever again.
Fingers crossed. Wow, it looks like I'm just flipped off here, but no.
Oh, Jason's podcast is going right now.
Oh, we're competing with Jason's podcast.
Oh, we better get off.
Let's keep it going.
I have to talk to Jason tomorrow. He's going to be upset with me. All right, look, we're gonna end the live stream here. I'm just going to thank Michael both publicly and then privately after this. Thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed it. Hope you did as well. That's kind of the plan.
I had a great time. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for being on. It was fun.
No, of course.
Everyone else, thank you guys for joining us on the YouTube channels. Of course, follow us on all the social medias, and we will see you soon.